There's been a lot of talk at the Fixed Ops Roundtable about modern retailing. And there's been a gentleman who has been a big part of the push about talking about the entire customer digital life cycle now for some time. And he's taking the industry by storm. It is Steve Apicella from Strategic DX. And Steve is joined today by an all-star panel of industry experts, including Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln, Sean Kingery from the Step One Automotive Group, Tully Williams from the Nilo Company, and Elizabeth Martin from the Scott Clark Auto Group. Welcome, everybody, to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And Steve, I'm going to let you go ahead and start the discussion because this is an important one, and I know we've got everybody's attention.
Thanks, Ted. When we look at this great panel, and I'm grateful for everybody's time, a lot of these leaders here represent what happens beyond the sale. And when we talk about modern retailing, a lot of times the mistake for our industry is we just think about selling a car and refining that process. And even as our industry refines the hell out of the sales process and separately refines the service processes, there's still a gap in between the two. And even though sales and service are often treated like two separate companies under one roof in our industry, that can't feel like that to the customer if the dealer desires a reoccurring customer beyond the one-time transaction. And again, I always acknowledge, I think our industry is doing a lot of great things. The folks on this panel are a representation of what's right and contributing to make our industry better and better and better. But our mantra at Strategic DX is connect the disconnected. And I believe the very essence that separates the 100% online retailers from the part of the industry that we all service here, the brick and mortar dealers, is the brick and mortar dealers' unique ability to also locally service their customers better than anyone after the point of sale. This shouldn't be a disconnected part of the ownership journey. This should be one continuous journey before, during, and after the sale. And with our platform, we focus on then what? What happens after the customer has gone through a car buying process? What happens after they've gone through an F&I experience? Is that where the frictionless engagement should end or just begin? And I know our great industry has a lot more to offer customers beyond just selling them cars. But the truth is, our industry is focused on 30-day cycles and how many cars did we sell last month. I understand that, and it's important that we sell cars. But the revenue that comes from building these relationships beyond the point of sale is what fuels the very departments that are on this panel. And having this, and Ted, I'm grateful that you brought all these folks together. Having this, how important is this for the folks in this room, the what happens after the sale? And should that be a disconnected, divergent effort, or should it be a part of one continuous dealer-customer relationship throughout their ownership experience together?
Tully, what say you?
Well, I want to say that I think that when you look at F&I products, when you talk about that disconnect from the sales to the service, I think we all need to remember this. We are here in the repeat and referral business. We sell a car, but what drives repeat and referral business is great F&I products that, not one, that we would sell to our family members, but two, that our service drive actually believes in. Do we believe in selling key? Do we believe selling dit and ding? Do we believe selling service contracts and maintenance contracts? Do we have the ability to sell those in the service drive? But here's the deal. The problem we have is when we sell the product, the service department has absolutely no idea what happened. And I think that having that connection between the sales and the service department on these F&I products, so when they come in, guess what? They have a great experience in the service side. Oh, you bought that contract. I can see it right here. That probably will be covered today. That's the goal we must have in the service drive, because if we don't, we will not sell those F&I products the next time. And they'll say, oh, no, that was a complete scam. I don't want to do that again. That's not what we want. Those F&I products are driving repeat and referral business.
If we look at it, Tully, that's great feedback too, is rhetorically, if F&I revenue is so important to a dealer, and it is, and the resulting customer experience and loyalty benefits is valuable to a dealer, and it is, then why do we leave selling F&I products to the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation alone? It's ridiculous. And I'm not contemplating that we should stop the F&I menu presentation. We should continue that, but is that where that benefit should reside alone? And I don't think so. And then again, rhetorically also, should a customer or a service advisor on behalf of a customer have intuitive access to all of the customer's purchase F&I products on their smartphone or on their desktop and have a digital claim pathway to service unified, even if there's multiple administrators fueling those products? And then by direct extension, should the customer and service advisor also see the F&I products that weren't purchased and have a digital pathway for it? I don't think intent is missing, process is missing. And if we intend to have that revenue and the relationship benefits and the loyalty thing, Tully, I agree with you 100%. It's not just selling them the next car, especially in this environment, it's the next trade-in too, right? This is a life cycle thing that doesn't just reside with one vehicle. Hopefully it's a relationship that lasts beyond that one vehicle into multiple vehicles. I agree.
Wow. And Sean, you've got some experience, with both sides there, both fixed and business office as well.
I do, Ted. And as we all know, and we discussed, and we're on the panel, my wife is my counterpart, my enemy actually, but my counterpart on the variable side, where she's the financial director for the group. And we talked about this offline a little bit, and Tully spoke of it. Guys, it really does start. And Ed, I know you run an amazing operation. I'm here all about it. But it really starts also with a service walk, which of course doesn't exist. We all know that. We like to think that it exists and exists for a week, and then that dies off. But as we talked about, there's such a human element involved in the F&I side, and such a hole on the DMS side, where if they don't enter it on the back screen, no matter what DMS you're on, if it's not entered in the right field, in the right place, with the right information, it is a recipe for every advisor out there. I don't care how good they are, to get their rear ends handed to them by the client, because the client assumes they should know, because quite frankly, we're in the same house, we should know. Forget the client that buys it at Ted Ing's dealership and comes into Ed Roberts' dealership. We sell it ourselves and we don't know. And it's such a big CSI disaster. It's automatically starts with confrontation.
How many times does a service advisor in our industry learn about what's being sold in F&I for the first time when a customer is standing in front of them requesting service from it?
Less than zero. If there's a number less than zero. And I don't mean that to be negative, Steve, but to your point, it's true. We can't even supply it to ourselves and the information on the tools that we're writing the client up with.
Exactly.
And it is the same DMS. And it's a known issue. Tully laughs until he shakes his head, and Ed lives it too. And Elizabeth, it's on your side. As you know, with Sarah's help, we run an in-house BDC, a very large one with 42 gals right now. They happen to be all gals working in there. And guess what? They can't see it. So when the client knows, do I have a service contract that covers that? Guys, our own BDC doesn't have the answer from the initial phone call, from the initial set. It starts confrontational from minute one.
Wow.
When it should really be a golden opportunity, another retention moment. Mm-hmm. That when you can empower a service advisor or the BDC with that information like we do, and this leads to a topic that I want to make sure I don't miss today is, even though I contribute a digital solution, a dealer branded app for post-sales engagement, including F&I, including service, including digital communication, that is to strengthen the in-person engagement. I'm not the, lock the front doors and we have to do everything online guy. That's not what I believe. What makes our industry great is its people and its community involvement and its ability to service the customer locally after the sale. That is the differentiator. But the technology can help connect the disconnected parts to enhance those in-person engagements.
Wow. Strong stuff. Elizabeth, you are running the BDC there at the Scott Clark Auto Group. I'm sure your staff encounters this type of thing every single day.
Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised how a lot of customers don't even know the maintenance schedule. Like, they don't know about their service contract. They don't know about their extended warranty, the maintenance plan, what all it covers, when it expires, how often they can use it. And, it's kind of surprising to me because these people are spending a lot of money buying these contracts, yet they're not educated on how they can use it, and they're also oftentimes not educated like how often supposed to bring the car in for maintenance. I actually found a study out there that about 30% of customers are actually unaware about the vehicle service schedule, and like over half of them actually rely on the vehicle to tell them, or their dealership to tell them, hey, your car is due for service based on your maintenance schedule. And, that's where Service BDC comes into play. We can call them and tell them, based on the driving history, based on the mileage, based on the time frame it's been, we can tell them that the car is due for service. And if they have questions about a maintenance contract that they purchased with us, we actually can pull that information up. We have access to that information, so we can tell them what all it covers and when they can use it and how they can use it.
One thing, Elizabeth, that's good feedback also. One thing I want to dispel for people that believe if we educate customers, if we make this information intuitively accessible on their smartphone, that somehow that's going to cause problems with a reinsurance position, or it's going to drive up claims frequency and severity. The truth is, an educated customer does not do that. It makes a happy customer. It makes an engaging customer. But we do millions of claims in our platform every year. On our platform with transparency, we not only provide the digital claims pathway for a customer or service advisor on behalf of a customer, but we also educate them about what this is. The truth is, customers don't read their service contracts or warranties. They pack them away. And they never had time to read it in the F&I environment. But in our platform, shouldn't a customer be able to intuitively access that on their smartphone and be able to understand it and be happy with it and engage it with their dealer? And again, it does not create a negative impact to a reinsurance position. It doesn't negatively impact claim frequency and severity. We've been doing this for a long time, millions and millions of claims, and the frequency doesn't go up. Actually, with the intelligence of the platform and the accuracy of data, the claim frequency goes down, ironically.
Wow.
So being transparent, I sometimes get frustrated with the topic because sometimes it's just a buzzword people like to use. Are we really being transparent? Being transparent doesn't create a negative financial impact. It creates a happier customer that drives more business.
And, Steve, Ed Roberts, we have started hearing that word transparency now in fixed operations, probably for the first time in a long while, where, that word came about on the front end, several years ago, and, has been embraced now for the last few years with all the changes we've had. But now we're seeing it, Ed, on the service side as well, transparency.
Absolutely. And we've talked a lot so far about retention and loyalty. And a lot of times we're chasing new customers, but we're not really looking for a way to retain them. And Telly says it best all the time. We're in the repeat and referral business, and we are. And the best conquest is retention. We already have those. And if we don't lose them, then we don't have to go conquest new customers. And the way to do that is with ownership experience and with everybody being on the same page. And dealerships are historically we talk about being silo mentality, but they're also solo mentality. They're in what's in it for me. And so that's why they don't know about the contracts that Elizabeth spoke of, because the F&I person sold them the contract and that's it. But when there's full transparency and the advisor knows what's happening, they speak in confidence with it, because confidence really it starts to bring a level of trust. When you tell somebody, well, I think it's going to be a mass air sensor. It's going to take care of you. It's going to fix your vehicle. And I hope that it's covered for you. I'll let y'all know in a little bit. There's no confidence there. But when you speak with confidence, hey, it looks like it's this. That's most likely covered. I'll have confirmation here in just a few minutes. They're saying the same things, just saying it differently. Those confidence levels ensures them that, hey, I did the right thing. I bought the coverage that I needed. It's working out for me. It's paying off for me.
And I think Ed, on the Bozar logo on the top there, it says trust. And I love that because, trust is not, it's something that's earned, right? It's earned with every moment that a customer interacts with their dealer. And business is built on relationships. There's no doubt about it. But good, longstanding relationships require that trust and good communication. Without it, the relationships don't exist. So
Exactly.
I love that.
So what we're all looking for is great ownership experience. And the ownership experience truly comes from customer experience. So we have to break it down to where it's seamless for the customer and everybody's in tune, everybody's on the same page. And that's when we got to use relevant information that's easily accessible, that we all know about, we're all educated on, to improve customer experience, which improves ownership experience, which allows us to retain, and then we don't have to conquest nearly as much. So it all ties together.
To get into the weeds, and I'll be brief about this, but what's in the DMS platform is that the dealer sold the customer a mechanical contract or a gap contract or a prepaid maintenance contract. With our platform, every time somebody logs in, customer or service advisor, we do a live web call to the third-party administrators that support the dealer to not only validate that the customer bought a contract, but what is that contract? What does it include in a digital pathway to engage in service? This happens all the time when the customer comes back and says, hey, I bought my car here. I bought some protection products. I need service support. Our industry puts our service advisors in a terrible position at these moments, which should be moments of retention, where a service advisor has to ask, what contract did you buy from us? Do you have a copy of it with you? Do you know what it is? And they don't have enough information in the DMS to solve that. And the entire time, the customer who organically came back is thinking, time out. I bought this stuff from you. Don't you know? And this is our challenge for our industry, is that the data is there, but the processes to engage it are missing. So accessibility to that. And then again, should a service advisor be able to highlight to a customer all the products they didn't buy and be able to sell them additional F&I products after the point of sale? Why not? Our experience has been that dealerships are earning dozens and dozens and dozens of additional sales after the point of sale. And when customers engage that, we ask them one digital survey: why didn't you buy this product when you purchased your car? And overwhelmingly, we get a lot of responses, over 82% responses. The customers say, I didn't know it was available, which is not true. F&I menu presentations are 100% of the products 100% of the time. It's not that it wasn't presented to them. It's just in that micro moment of F&I, which again is still important. But in that micro moment, not all customers are willing to accept everything where they've learned about it for the first time and it's thrust upon them. But when you give them the ability to educate themselves and explore it and make a decision, they do. And that's modern retailing. It's not just a one-time sale, and it's not just online, and it's not just digital. It's empowering this great industry and its people with the processes to deliver more than what's expected.
Ed, I think that rings home because Steve has hit the nail on the head. That is modern retailing. Only in that F&I experience do we expect at that time the customer will buy it or not. And then I think Lisa Copeland once said, the fortune is in the follow-up. And I know in service, we follow declined services. Tully talks about same-day selling, all right, the importance of that. But we follow up. And, that's really, a lot of that is not done.
Absolutely. And that's why Tully tracks same-day selling, so he can track what's not selling as well and recommend not done. And that's our opportunity to chase after it. Because like Stephen said, when you're sitting there and you've went through all the process to buy a vehicle, at some point you're just ready to be done. And if you say no, you feel like you can make that transaction happen faster. Well, one of the things that we talk about in service is once we tell somebody what's wrong with their vehicle and we don't sell it to them and we don't follow up with them, we've gave them a shopping ticket to go anywhere else. And the same thing here. There may be some products that was presented to them in F&I, and if they don't pick it up then, maybe it resets the seed back in their mind, or the first time they need it and it's there, then they start looking for it themselves. And they're not looking for it with you. They're looking for it for what they can find online. So it's our opportunity to re-put that back out there in front of them, just like we do on the FixedOps side of the business. It's our opportunity to tie those things together because we can't be silos in modern retail. We have to be in it together.
Well, Tully, you've been talking about bringing this all together. You've been on the forefront of that for a long time, Tully. What do you think?
I think that Ed's spot on. I think that, when you talk about selling contracts, right? And you talk about I would say, mainly for us, it's, extended warranties and maintenance, right? But if we tell them in the driveway, oh, congratulations, you got a service contract. Remember, if you have an issue, I'm your person, right? You want to almost you're pre-selling everything that might break on the car, right? So if you have a Land Rover, they're going to be in next week, right? We want to tell them it's covered, right? We want to tell them that they have this great product they bought so they feel good about it. Drive that repeat and referral business because we're going to educate them on the contract prior. When you look at maintenance, right? Maintenance sells well. BMW, I have to admit, they are the king of maintenance. We sell probably 100 maintenance contracts in the service drive every month because they realize if we retain them on maintenance, we retain them as a customer forever. And I think that education on your products before needed is really, really important.
Imagine in the F&I environment, if the service advisor the F&I advisor knowing that the service advisor is equipped to quickly and accurately handle the customers that come in when service is needed, that finance advisor can say, hey, and when you need service, come on into our world-class service drive where our folks are ready to take care of you. This is what we do. This is what we're built for. This is why we can do it better than anybody in our industry. It is the currency. Again, I mentioned it earlier. People talk about the gargoyles at the gate. And what they mean is like Carvana and Vroom and Tesla and the online retailers. What the online retailers did intelligently is they filled a void. And I don't look at them as somebody that we have to catch up to. The brick and mortar dealers can surpass them with their unique ability with people and community involvement and the ability to locally service their customers better than anybody. That's the very thing we have to leverage in modern retailing.
Tully, this is the conversation that you have been saying that we need to have for a long time. And can you believe here we are with the best in fixed operations, Steve, and we're talking about bringing it all together. Tully's been telling us for a long time that this is overdue. Sean, you've got a great perspective on this. 20 dealerships in 3 states now, okay, and growing. Give us some more.
Again, I take what Tully said, I take it a step further. And Steve, to your point, we could sell the F&I products on the service drive. First of all, for those of us that have OEM dealers, and we just picked up our 20th OEM, the OEM is cramming the service. They need to sell on the service drive, but that's a conflict to what you're doing in-house. But when you go to a dealer principal and you say, listen, the reason we sell the OEM service contracts is because, Stephen, it's what you're saying. If I sell an OEM contract, I can pull it up on the client's VIP, their 14, I know what they bought because I can see it because the OEMs figured it out. And back to your point of Tesla and Carvana, what they've done well is they've done communication well. They communicate amongst each other very, very well, where we do not. We have 6 Stellantis stores now. And again, for those of us that know Stellantis, and Ed's got Ford, and Tully, I know you got some import brands. It takes no time. There's no confrontation with the advisor because you know exactly what they have, you know exactly what's covered, and you know exactly what's not. To Ed's point, there's no hesitation. To Elizabeth, your clients, your BDC agents can tell the client instantly what they have because they can pull it up when we can't do that on our own. We do need a one-stop shop. To Tully's point, for years we've needed a one-stop shop, but we continue to talk about it. But unfortunately, the fixed operations sometimes is the afterthought. Because if you go to a finance manager right now in anybody's store and say, hey, can service see instantly what contract you sold? But they're all going to say, sure, they can, but none of them can. Because we don't
not with enough rich detail to do anything with it. It's Correct. Too vague in the DMS platform. And again, that's exactly what we do. Is every time a customer or a service advisor interacts with the dealer branded application, whether it's an iOS app, an Android app, or a web application, we're doing live web calls out to all of the third-party administrators that fuel that F&I environment to be able to show and inform and engage what products the customer purchased, what are the exact details of that product, and how to get service from it. And then again, by natural extension, be able to show personalized to every customer the products they didn't buy. And that can also be supported by the service advisors. This is long overdue. Again, we're doing a lot of things right. Sales is selling cars, and they're selling F&I products in that micro moment of the F&I menu presentation. But is that where modern retailing should end or just begin? This is our challenge.
Wow. Elizabeth, I'll give you the last word, and then I'll let Steve sum it up from there. Elizabeth, what do you think? You're running a big service BDC. You've got a lot of agents there. We're talking about, being able to talk about things that the customer purchased and be able to do that to help the consumer, later on in their experience. And of course, as Tully says, the repeat and referral, bring that customer back. What do you think, Elizabeth?
I'm thinking, earlier in the conversation, we talked about transparency and, communication is everything. And, I know one of you guys mentioned that customers oftentimes they buy the contract. They're just like, great, I bought a contract, great way to save money, they just put it away and save it for later. And when they come in, they call, they have all these questions, they're just completely unaware about anything. And, being able to pull up the contact information, be able to pull up their service record, be able to pull up their the manufacturer's recommendation how to service the vehicle, I think that goes a long way, because being able to educate that customer, that I feel like that shows customers that we are here to help them. We care about them. We want them to bring their business to us. We want to help them prolong the life of the vehicle, because, as you notice, people are starting to hang on to the cars a lot longer. So now we're having to help them make the vehicle run longer. And, of course, that means more money on the customer side, because as the vehicle gets older, repairs become more expensive. So I think that's where a lot of it comes into play. It's just, communication, education, transparency, walking them through the steps of like what to expect when they come in.
All great and super relevant points. Steve, what we're talking about now, though, is not just going to happen someday in the future. Steve, this is now, and you have this available today, and you are in a lot of dealerships. Tell us a little bit about that.
Growing really fast. When I'm in front of a dealer principal in less time than we've been together today, and I share with them what we do, they're like, where has this been? Let's get started. What do we need to do? Because we're not replacing something incumbent. We're filling a vacancy. And that vacancy is the distance between sales and service. When I think about modern retailing, I ask, then what? We sold the customer a car. Then what? We sold them an F&I product or two. Then what? We have a panel full of experts here that represent a rich part of our industry that needs to be leveraged even more in the definition of modern retailing. F&I revenue shouldn't end with the micro moment of the F&I menu presentation. The resulting service from service contracts, which ironically, the simplest definition for a service contract is a contract for service. Shouldn't the service experience associated to them matter? I think it should. And as Elizabeth said, and everybody else in this great panel, our actions speak louder than words, and our processes have to be there to support that if we desire the reoccurring customer beyond the one-time transaction. And I believe that is the definition of modern retailing. Our application is plug and play. This is not a bandwidth strain for the dealer. It's a way to communicate digitally. It's a way to engage F&I products after the sale when service is needed, or to buy F&I products that were missed in that micro moment. It's a loyalty program, a reward program to incentivize a customer return. And again, as I mentioned, we're here to enhance the in-person engagement, not to distract from it, because the in-person engagement is the very essence that makes our industry so great. And again, while I have just a moment, thank you everybody for watching, and for the panelists that were here to give their expertise. Thank you. And thank you, Ted. Appreciate it very much.
Steve, a lot of people watching here on day one of the event since Tully opened up this morning. Steve, if our audience, and again, dealers and otherwise want to reach out to you and learn more about Strategic DX, your dealership experience, Steve, how do they get a hold of you?
It's on the crawl there. Steve at strategic-dx.com. Our website is strategic-dx.com. You can certainly find us on LinkedIn by either looking for Steve Apicella or Strategic DX. Our platform is called Your Dealer Experience, and I'm looking forward to our continued rapid growth in the industry. We're innovating relentlessly every day to strengthen the best parts of our industry, and the best parts are represented right here. Thank you.
Steve, congratulations to you on all the success you're having. I want to thank the panel, Ed Roberts, Elizabeth Martin, Sean Kingery, and Tully Williams for being with us here today. Steve Apicella and the panel on modern retailing here today at the FixedOps Roundtable.